Ambessa is secretly the most overpowered legend in Riftbound. Let me show you. The match started out with a pretty amazing hand, and with going first, I threw down a Legion Marauder, and it was back to him, where he had the best turn one with a Scuttle Crab into a Steel Paws. On my turn, I brought the Marauder over to the altar, and with looking at my hand, I had so many options. So I empowered him for free using the altar ability, where I then threw down a Carrion Dredger, and I passed it back to him. Where back on his turn, he found his center and played a Raven Bloom in base, and it was back to me. With him being tapped out, I decided to publicly execute the Raven Bloom, and it went through. I brought the Marauder back to base and decided it was time to drop the Kale. Back on his turn, he brought the Scuttle Crab over to the Sigil, where he was able to develop a Heron. That card is insane. And with ending his turn with the Zonias, it was back to me. I brought Kale to the altar, and I decided it was time to triple empower her. But I was scared, so I brought her back to base just in case. He then decided to Stupefy so that he can trigger the Heron, where he then dropped the Nasus in base and decided to retreat both of his units. And Stupefy again just to dig a little more, ending his turn with another Steel Paws in base. After a lot of thinking, I decided to bring Kale to the Sigil. And after even more thinking, I brought the Marauder and put him also on the Sigil. And it was time for his big push where he dropped a Watcher. And with bringing the Heron over to the Dredger, he died. And with the Heron's discount, dropping another Watcher, giving -6 to everything. And with that bringing Kale down to 3 might, he decided to test his luck, which fortunately for me, it was time to punch first, effectively taking out the Watcher and him killing my Marauder. He decided to hide a card and pass it back to me. And with me knowing it was a back off, I decided to bring Kale over to him, which it was a back off. And with him being tapped out, I threw down a Tactical Retreat and went back to base, where I developed Ambessa and I passed it back to him. He then decided to empower one of the Steel Paws and find his center again. And with bringing the Steel Paws over to the Sigil, he decided to place his Watcher there as well, and put Nasus over on the altar, and it was back to me. And with me looking at my hand, there was only one thing to do, and that was to go for one of them.
Because my soldiers do not buckle or yield when faced with the cruelty of this world!
So I decided to bring everything to the Sigil, where it was then time to drop the Vi, stunning the Watcher. Where he then decided to take out my Ambessa and the Recruit, I was able to conquer to 7. And with only 4 runes left, I decided I had enough interaction to hold. And who would have guessed the 3rd Watcher came down, which was followed up by a Bellows Breath, targeting my Vi. But I was prepared for this, and I threw down a Key Barrier, giving her an extra 7 HP. And after swinging the Watcher in to trade out with Vi, and with not having much left in the tank, it was over. And honestly, amazing game.